Hello, scrufftards, freaks, geeks, basement dwellers, and all you freaky degenerates online. Welcome to the Warzone. I'm Scruffy, and this is Scruffy Tales. And the mappers have updated, providing us with the latest information about the front line. So we're gonna take a look what they're telling us about Kursk and Belgorod. Russia is really struggling with Kursk, having issues kicking Ukraine out. Ukraine is holding on to the last few square kilometers, and at the same time, we now have some more maps showing that Ukraine is pushing into the border towns of Belgorod Oblast. So Russia is struggling to secure its borders. Without a doubt. At the same time, we're also going to take a look at Toretsk, Pokrovsk, and south of Zaporizhia, where Russia is pushing back and claiming some territory. And towards the end, I want to highlight a video I did and the opportunity for us to potentially crowdfund putting together some really excellent combat medic backpacks, trauma kits available via a Swedish company. So maybe we can work something out to help the international audience help out with funding these backpacks. So that's at the end of the video. Anyway, so moving on. Right here we have Deep State. This is the 11th of March. I just want to highlight here what happens. We move on to the 12th. Russia pushes in within the River Pesal and Lochnia into Sudzha. We have some, well, now we're on the 14th. Advance towards Pasivka. We're on the 14th. 15th. The map changes again. You can see Ukraine is holding on for a couple of days here at their defensive positions. We move ahead, and 20th, that's when you have the next change on the map. And moving on to today, 23rd, still nothing. So you can clearly see that, and I mean, I've been talking about this for ages, how Ukraine has prepared defensive lines within the river system, clearly knowing that they would reach this point in time at some point, right, when Russia was trying to push them out. So they have prepared defenses all over the place within the protective river systems, and they are now slowly giving ground, forcing the Russians to throw in massive amounts of manpower to make any form of headway. But clearly it takes time, effort, and lives to force Ukraine out of Russia, even when they're only holding on to these small gains here. Moving on to Andrew Perpetua's map, updated 3 hours ago. You can see here how Russia has moved in, taken over some valleys down here, but they are struggling with this valley and the defensive positions here along the windbreaks. So Ukraine is in control of these valleys, defending Gogolevka and defending the windbreaks and the small valley here leading down to the gas station, whatever you want to call it, famously on fire the other day. So yeah, I mean, again, Ukraine knew they would reach this point. They have prepared for it. I've talked about the river system for 6 months, how Ukraine would base their final defenses on this river system. And they have now, after Russia forced their way across the river, been holding on to prepared defenses within that defensive barrier to hold on for as long as possible to these last square kilometers of territory within Russia. So quite clearly, Ukraine is very successful in their defensive campaign here towards the end of the Kursk operation. Question is, what happens here if Russia follows them into Sumy. If this is how much Russia struggles within Kursk, where Ukraine has been able to prepare defenses for 6 or 8 months within Russia. I mean, what is waiting for the Russians here within Ukraine between Sumy and the border? I mean, you can see here, these wooded areas are excellent defensive positions. Unakivka will probably be a fortress in its own right. With wide open terrain surrounding it, it's going to be difficult for Russia to push in. They're probably going to be moving down the river Lochnia through the town of Lochnia to reach Unakivka. We've seen them moving down here towards Pacifika, which kind of makes it easy for Ukraine to focus artillery along this river to slow the Russians down. The Russians are they're struggling, and we also have the rumor that it's close to 80,000 Russians now trying to liberate Kursk from the Ukrainians. Ukraine is doing good. You can't say that this is not an effective fighting withdrawal from the Ukrainians. Sorry, got a bit of a cold again. The curse of having kids. They spread disease far worse than any goddamn Chinese lab, I can tell you that much. Funnily enough, south of this location we have, of course, the Belgorod incursion. And as we can see here, on the 22nd, this is not for the 23rd. Updated 3 hours ago, we have still a Ukrainian presence south of Demidovka, according to Andrew Perpetua. Ukraine is still pushing through Preleshia. If we move over to Mayakovsk 73, Kursk situation is the same. Mayakovsk 73 has said for a couple of days that Ukraine is within Demidovka contesting the area. They're a bit more conservative when it comes to Preleshia. Andrew Perpetua has Ukraine in this town. If we head on over, though, to the Ukraine control map, updated 48 minutes ago, or maybe an hour ago at this point, as you can see, they have also now moved Ukraine into Demidovka. They had Ukraine down here before. Now they have expanded Ukrainian contested area to be within Demidovka, aligning with Mayakovsk 73. At the same time, they are also a bit more conservative here at Preleshia, with only listing Ukraine as being in these windbreaks here. Meanwhile, Andrew Perpetua has Ukraine contesting the town of Preleshia. What else? We can take a look at ISW, what they're saying. This is the ISW map. Let's see what happens here. A bit slow on the updates. They have Ukraine just outside of Demidovka. Have Ukraine, according to them, Ukraine has pushed in, just like we've seen on Mayakovsk 73. Instead of 2 prongs, they have moved in along the entire border. What was the name of the town? Preleshia. Preleshia is up here. The other mappers are claiming Ukraine is pushed in here or moved into town. ISW has Ukraine pushing in south of town, taking control of some defensive positions here built by the Russians. So quite clearly, shit is going on in Belgorod. And now we have 2 mappers, Ukraine control map and Mayakovsk 73, showing us that Ukraine is contesting the town of Demidovka itself. Very encouraging. Was a bit worried that things were looking like they were stalling. Not much was happening on the maps. Now at least we have confirmation that things is happening in Demidovka. Ukraine is in that town and can secure very well defended positions. I mean, you have valleys with waterways. You have lots of cover in the trees. These buildings, you have basements all over the place. This is where you can hide and store ammunition, where you can set up triage centers and what have you. Very good stuff. This is important for Ukraine to hold Demidovka, as well as pushing into Prelesya. What they need now is to grab Grafovka to really establish a presence within Belgorod. Returning to Mayakovsk 73, moving down to Pokrovsk and Toretsk. Russia appears to have turned things around a bit. Ukraine was pushing Russia back, but most of the mappers, all of the mappers, they are clearly showing that Russia is pushing back in Pashane and as well in Shevchenko. Unfortunately so. Ukraine has lost territory in Pashane. They have lost the territory around Shevchenko. Also, if we take a look at Toretsk, here you can see how Mayakovsk 73 has Russia pushing back here. If we take a look at Andrew Perpetua's map, it looks even worse, to be honest. Let's see here. Zooming in on Toretsk, if we go back a couple of days here. Let's see here. Okay, let's go back a bit more. Okay, so here you can see how Ukraine has been pushing in, trying to isolate pockets of Russians, and this is on the 11th. If we move ahead, here we can see how Russia pushes back. Ukraine is pushing in this way. And boom, this happens on the 17th. Russia is pushing back quite strongly, obviously. You can see how they're moving here. This is now dangerously close of being completely surrounded by the Russians. 19th and 21st, and now we're on the 22nd. So yeah, Russia has made some big moves here in the center of town after the Ukrainians were pushing in. So clearly Russia is still, they're not just gonna let the Ukrainians walk in and do whatever they want. Russia has, plenty of bodies to throw at each problem still, and that's how they solve problems. They throw bodies at it, and it's difficult to fight these hordes of orcs coming at you. Also down here, needs to be highlighted once again, throughout March, Russia has made going back in time here. We're now on the 9th of March. If you move ahead, you can see here how they're pushing on the 11th. And then on the 17th, some more territory. As you can see, there's been a lot of artillery aimed at the Ukrainians over time here. And 20th, lots of artillery strikes. And this is where we're at. So they made a push down here south of Zaporizhzhia and made some territorial gains. So there's still obviously quite a lot of fight left in the Russians. They have enormous resources, even if they are, running out of reliable options, using more and more donkeys, using more and more civilian cars for transports and assaults, and all of that. So, this is far from over. I'm skeptical that the peace talks will lead to anything, to be honest. I'm thinking this war will continue well into 2026. And as long as Ukraine receives support, I'm thinking the war will continue into 2027, 2028, as long as it takes to help them defeat these brutal barbarians that make up the Russian government and Russian military. And before we end the video, I just want to highlight my previous video, because in it I'm talking a bit about if this community, you guys want to, do some crowdfunding for providing money for this Swedish company Apotea that puts together awesome trauma bags, combat medic equipment, basically, for the Ukrainians. So if you want to be part of a crowdfunding campaign to try and raise as much money for that as possible. So if you're so take a look at that video, what that's all about, and leave a comment in this video or in that video if that's something you want to take part in, because Apotea only accepts money from people with a Swedish address. So if you're from abroad We need to work something out with PayPal or something to allow you to help out raising funds for these excellent combat medic backpacks. And that's it. That's all I have for you this time around. I hope you found it interesting. I hope I'll see you in the next one. As always, go på marsch, Ukraine, and give them hell.